A privileged young lady by the name of Harper was known to call the big city of New York her home. She was able to enjoy a nice existence thanks to the income that her family possessed, which enabled her to attend a prominent private school. But despite all of this, Harper continued to feel a void in her life that could not be remedied by acquiring more material goods. She happened to see an elderly vagrant as she was purchasing food in the canteen at her school one day. He resided nearby. He appeared to be weak, malnourished, and impoverished. Harper experienced a twinge of sympathy for him and made the decision to get some food for him. "Howdy, folks. Are you hungry? Would you be interested in having anything to eat?" Harper inquired of the elderly guy while making an effort to conceal her worries. The old man enthusiastically accepted her offer, which caused his eyes to light up. When Harper watched the elderly guy eat, she experienced something she had never experienced before, a sense of purpose. But at the same time, Harper was mortified and ashamed when her co-workers began making fun of her for providing food to the homeless man. She felt like she had let down the entire office. She had no intention of being a source of amusement with her actions. All she wanted to do was perform a kind act. She was so upset that tears were streaming down her face as she fled the cafeteria. When Harper realized that her co-workers had witnessed her offering John some food, her heart began to rush rapidly. She had feelings of humiliation and shame as a result of their making fun of her for assisting a homeless man. She was unable to bear the prospect of being the subject of their nasty jokes, and as a result, tears began to fill up in her eyes. The following day, when she was leaving the canteen with her bag of food, she made sure that no one was observing her. She moved quickly along the street, her heart heavy with the feelings of remorse and shame that she had committed. She crept up on John stealthily and handed him the bag as soon as she noticed that he was seated on the curb. She couldn't help but wonder why her co-workers were being so harsh as she went away, but she forced herself to keep walking. "I don't understand why they thought it would be funny to make fun of someone who was less fortunate than they were." Harper was well aware that she was powerless to alter their perspectives, but she was adamant about continuing to assist John in private. Harper continued to make daily food purchases for John despite her concerns that she would once more become the target of scorn. She spent a lot of time getting to know him, and throughout that time, they frequently chatted about their respective lives. Harper was impressed by John's ability to persevere and remain strong in the face of adversity as he related stories from his life's journey to her. Harper came to the conclusion that providing assistance to John was more essential than the opinions of her coworkers. She knew that John was thankful to her for her generosity, and it made her feel good about herself to have made a positive impact on the lives of another person. However, the worry that they would be laughed at never really disappeared. When Harper saw any of her co-workers, she immediately felt anxious that they would start making fun of her again. Despite this, she continued to assist John because she knew it was the appropriate thing to do. As Harper continued to get to know the elderly guy, she learned that his name was John and that he had formerly worked as a professor at a university in the area. Because of his addiction and a string of unfortunate events, he had been forced to give up everything he owned. When Harper learned of John's troubles, it hurt her heart, and she vowed to do everything she could to assist him in getting back on his feet. She utilized her spare time to investigate various rehabilitation programs and social agencies that would be of assistance to him. As time went on, Harper's bond with John grew stronger, and she started to look up to him in a parental capacity as a result. She made it a habit to spend time chit-chatting and supporting him while also listening to the stories he shared. John's life had not been a simple one up to this point. He had a deprived upbringing and had never experienced the love and security of a loving family home. Because he had lost both of his parents when he was still a child, he was left on his own to fend for himself in the world outside. As a direct consequence of this, he had turned to substance abuse and alcohol as a means of dulling the ache caused by his feelings of isolation and hopelessness. John was a compassionate and mild-mannered person at heart, in spite of the many challenges he had overcome in his life. He had a kind heart that was filled with compassion, as well as a warm grin that could make a room brighter than the sun. He would frequently deny himself food in order to ensure that others had access to nourishment, and he would strip off his clothes in order to offer them to people who were less well off than he was. However, in spite of his generosity, John had never been able to find a way out of the harsh reality of living on the streets. More times than he could count, he had been assaulted, robbed, and left for dead after being attacked. He had witnessed friends pass away as a result of acts of violence, disease, and addiction, and the weight of their loss had been hard on his heart. However, despite all of Harper's efforts, John's addiction proved to be too powerful, and he passed away on a chilly night in the middle of winter. The news left Harper in utter disbelief, and her broken heart felt like it had been smashed into a million pieces. She continued to make donations of food to shelters for the needy in John's memory, but she was never able to completely fill the vacuum that his death had created. This is getting completely out of hand. However, Harper's activities were not ignored by anyone. Her tale was picked up by the local news outlet, and before long, individuals from all over the city were offering food, money, and their time to assist the city's homeless population. A movement had been started as a result of Harper's act of selflessness, and she had inadvertently become the face of a charity that would go on to assist thousands of individuals who were in need of assistance. Harper's thoughts continued to return to John, but she took some comfort in the realization that the choices she had taken had resulted in a change. In the end, John was adamant that he would not give up hope. He maintained his faith that there was still some measure of goodness in the world and that there was a justification to keep working toward a better tomorrow. And when he met Harper, he saw the same qualities in her that he had always carried within his own heart, love and compassion. He was aware of the fact that she was unique and that she possessed the potential to effect change in the entire globe.